Welcome, audience, to a film that I have been overdue to finally see. Batman, Mask of
Da-da-da-da.
the Phantasm. From what I've heard, one of the greatest superhero movies to ever come to the silver screen.
Although it wasn't supposed to come to the silver screen.
I
Yeah, it
guess
was originally made as a special made-to-TV movie of accompanying the series itself, but Warner Brothers somewhere along the line decided, oh, let's put this in theaters.
With shitty marketing.
We'll
Yeah.
talk about how
Implied
that.
ad marketing.
We'll talk about how that affected it later. For now, though,
And I'm just gonna say it. This was a much better Batman movie than Batman Forever, which came out in the same year.
Actually, this came out 2 years before Batman Forever.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
Batman
wasn't there
Forever
a
was
Batman
1995.
live
I
action movie
believe.
that came out around the same time as well?
No. The previous that was Batman Returns back in 1992. This was 1993.
Oh, okay. Well, I still find this a better Batman movie than Batman Returns, honestly. So
Basically, Pedro, the way the timeline
Anyway.
goes is that basically 1989 Batman inspired the making of the animated series, and the animated series ran alongside the live action movie series, and that's why they released so close to each other.
all right, go ahead.
All right, then, Warner Brothers logo, folks. Start right before that. Just press play on your DVD or Blu-ray menu, and 3, 2, 1, click. Because
Also,
Warner
I'm
Brothers.
I'm a complete idiot because I realized just now that the New Brothers logo tune thing is actually the one made for the Looney Tunes. And
Yeah,
I
I
only
ca- I-
realized just that now.
Yeah,
Fucking hell.
I kind of miss this. Back in the 90s, Warner Bros. Had this thing where their logo always had Bugs Bunny, which makes sense considering Bugs Bunny is kind of their mascot. So I kind of wish they had kept that. It's so much better than that logo they have right now, where they have that golden city in the water. I have no idea what the hell is that about.
Also, Jova.
Also, wow, you're not even gonna build up to the title screen. Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh,
This is
choir.
This is the soundtrack in this movie is amazing.
Yeah,
It was done
the
by
soundtrack-
Shirley Walker, aka the person who also was one of the. She did music for Batman the animated series as well.
She's the main
and she also did
composer for
theme
the
tune.
Batman animated series, I believe.
She also did the theme tune for the Superman TV show around in the 90s.
Which brings me my question, Jova. I know this was made by the team behind the animated Batman animated series and being tied to it. Is it still technically canon in the DC animated universe?
Yes, actually, because let's just say a certain important character from this film ends up showing up in the future during an episode of Justice League Unlimited.
Okay, and another question. If I recall correctly, isn't this movie also like a prequel? Like the time that Batman first encounters the Joker or something?
Yes and no. Basically, this goes a bit into Batman's life before he was Batman and how, well, yeah, the Joker does play an integral part, but not in the way you might expect, from what I've heard.
It's still different than Batman Year One, obviously.
Now, okay,
Oh.
this movie was all set to be a perfect hit for the silver screen. Here's the problem. They did it like
Shitty
right at the
marketing.
last minute, and due to the decision to release it in theaters on such short notice, it failed at the box office.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I like this movie. However, it does one thing that I never liked in any Batman media at all. None, regardless, movies, comics, whatever. Romance. I never like romance in Batman. So I
Ah.
never. To me, Batman and romance just don't mix at all.
Not even the flirty ass with Catwoman.
Well, okay, fine. That is fine. But I'm talking about like Batman, Bruce trying to have a normal life with a woman. That to
Oh,
me never
God.
worked.
There is that short in before Batman Beyond Return of the Joker,
And the guy died.
which is completely music. There's not a single word spoken, which is essentially a chase between Batman and Catwoman. Is really fun and good to look.
This is why, for me, the best romances with Batman have been stuff like him and Wonder Woman.
He didn't
But
kick the
yeah,
gun away. He just dumps
since
the
Ba-
table. The guy.
Since it was Batman's origin, at first it was a bit more violent, I guess.
Speaking of violent, Batman seems to... Oh, wait, never
Oh.
mind.
Oh.
Hello, Azrael. Oh wait, no, it's not in.
Fuck, my gun ain't working.
Well, crud. We've got 2 Caped Crusaders now in this city.
The problem is that this one is not wanting to play nice like Batman.
Batman playing nice.
I love
Well, Batman doesn't kill. This guy does.
Like,
Crap,
Damn it,
car
for
is
all
my
my-
only weakness.
For all my powers, my one weakness is being distracted.
I
Yeah.
kind of had ADHD.
I'm just gonna say it too. I
Running
never
road.
care.
Yes.
I never cared for Vicky Vale, like at all.
Me neither. I always thought she should have ended up with Jack Ryder anyway.
Vicky Vale, yeah, I mean, Vicky Vale's a nice character on her own, but never, in any of the incarnations I've seen when
That
they tried to
face.
ship her with Batman, has she ever
I mean,
worked.
I understand that you need the obligatory scene where Bruce Wayne has to show that he's a playboy and everything, but never go past that. Come on.
It's for me. What makes Batman so interesting to me?
And he
Well,
died.
snap.
Hey, hey, hey! Hey, oh
Fast
my
and
God.
Furious.
yes, it's that thing from Fast and Furious.
Yeah, here's the problem, Dweebs. These reality ensues and that guy is dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fast and Furious has never been realistic.
And people actually believe it was Batman doing, because, you know, you need that obligatory scene when a character watches a scene of crime and people around think he's the one who did
Yeah,
it.
Do they?
honestly, Tio, I don't mind the Fast and Furious films because, be honest, was that series ever the pantheon of realism to begin with?
I agree.
No, but it shouldn't have even been a cow to milk to death.
They're
But
still
wait.
good at least.
Anyway, back to
Anyway.
this film.
Also, is that Harvey Dent?
Oh, no, no.
No,
That's
no,
Harvey
Tim Burton.
Bullock.
No, I mean,
Oh,
this
well.
guy was.
Oh, this guy. Okay.
Oh, this guy? No.
Yeah, we did this a gajillion times, but since it's a prequel, I guess it's more legit.
To be fair,
It wouldn't
okay.
be Batman if it didn't have this element now. Would it?
Controversial.
I'm gonna be quite honest. I was never annoyed with it with Batman the Animated Series because I'd say Batman the Animated Series is one of the best deconstructions of the idea that Batman
the trial,
wins only
the
bad.
trial episode is the perfect example of how you do that type of story, anyway.
Precisely. And even when they do it other times, they actually do it in unique and different ways.
Also, there you go. Batman is actually doing some detective work in this media. Oh my god.
What?
He's
Dio.
called the world's greatest detective, isn't he?
Well,
Yeah, I know,
Dio,
but
mean,
it's like what Doug said. In almost all of the other movies, Batman rarely does any detective work.
They tried to have that in Batman v Superman, but
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
they
Let's
had
just
him
say
get...
that
That's Batman v Superman.
the Arkham games captured that aspect perfectly, anyway.
Remember, Pedro, that was written by a guy who had a mixed track record and a guy who only got the film because he made one decent lower budget film before that.
well, wasn't Ben Affleck who recommended him or something?
Must have been.
Because
Ah,
Ben
that
Affleck worked with him in
camera.
Argo.
Notice my directing.
Ah. Something
People are
laughing at-
poor.
We're laughing at nothing.
Well, I guess I can give this series credit. At least they actually had the gangster die when he drove that far off and crashed into another
Yeah.
building.
Yeah, that's another thing. A lot of people die in this movie, which I think it happened also in the animated series, but
Oh,
not
yeah.
as frequently.
The animated series is, surprisingly for the most part, realistic enough.
Well, that's because it took a lot of inspiration also from the Tim Burton movies. I mean, they even got the penguin having that deformed hand anyway.
Oh, sorry, Bruce. I guess, playing the dickish playboy kind of has its downsides like that.
Well, obviously.
Yep.
I never got it. Why does he feel the need to act dickish? I mean, what? Because people will suspect he's Batman if he's actually a good philanthropist?
Probably. Not to mention, despite the fact that some characters, including a major supervillain, actually figured out his identity anyway.
Though.
And I don't mean through lucky guesses, but through normal psychological aspects.
The weird thing as well is that he doesn't really act the dick that much in the animated series. Heck, even in The Batman, he's actually acting as a relatively nice guy, so I don't get why they're doing that for this movie. Or is this in one of his earlier years, since I hear this has to do with his origin?
Yeah, this is like a prequel, so early years and shit, I guess.
Basically, yeah.
Oh,
Well, I
so
mean,
when he was just starting off.
Be thankful that we don't go the Golden Age route where he outright killed people with a gun.
Hey, remember when
Yes,
Batman
that
used a gun to
shit
kill
happened.
people?
Well,
That was early installment weirdness.
But don't you see, Jova,
golden age.
But don't you see, Jova, that's exactly what BVS was going for. They were going back to the golden age. Never mind the fact that there's a reason why we dropped that to begin with.
I don't know, Pedro. I thought that they decided to go instead to the Frank Miller days.
Anyway.
Yeah. Let's go to the movie because we actually have a new character introduced specifically for this movie.
We've got a crazy lady, it seems.
What? Because of the eyes?
Basically,
no. It's because she's. I mean, I know people talk to Greys, but never like this. Surely.
It's called grieving, Dwibs.
Basically, Dwibs, they have one thing in common: both their parents died, and they've been buried in the same cemetery. So that's their starting point. Wait, your parents died? My parents died too. We should totally hang out.
Thankfully,
hey, could you imagine if, like in LA Noire, you had to interrogate a grave? How would that work? You died 5 years ago. What was the cause?
Next step, an Ace Attorney game where you actually have to question
You're lying.
Lord Raptor as a witness.
You're lying. You knew that the woman cheated on you. So you decided
go ahead, Pedro.
One of the things that makes Batman such an interesting character, at least to me, is the fact that the psychology of him, the fact of everything that happened to him, the fact that he dedicated his entire life to perfecting himself both physically and mentally, made him kind of antisocial in the sense that, and honestly, whenever they tried to do the whole, Bruce is now going to try and have a normal life with a lady and all that shit.
Yeah, never ever buy that.
It never works for me because it kind of takes away from the one of the most interesting aspects of the character, if you ask me. So I never really liked. Well, okay, with the Catwoman stuff, like Tim mentioned, that's fine. The Catwoman flirting stuff, that's fine. But when they try to do this type of romance in Batman, I never like it because it kind of takes away from.
Oh, there you go. That's the early years because at this point he didn't even have the costume.
Yeah, for as campy as Batman the Brave and the Bold show is, even that show knew when it did sort of, but not really look at what Batman would have been like if he'd married Catwoman. Yeah, he doesn't exactly stop crime fighting. In fact, if anything, he trains his family lineage and makes sure that there's a Batman there. Heck, even when he passes down the mantle to Dick, he still makes sure to keep in tip-top shape and everything to train his son to be the new Robin.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of
your hands up.
Again, I'm a big fan. Sorry, go ahead.
Again, the reason that Batman and Wonder Woman has always been my favorite ship is because they actually work well together. Wonder Woman actually seems like someone who can not only keep up with.
You might be in luck because considering what goes on in Justice, if Justice League is anything to go by, it seems like they're probably heading to that direction. So
yeah, that is one of the few things.
What franchise death?
No. Batman and Wonder Woman hooking up.
Anyway.
Well, that's if the film series survives after this.
Well, okay, to be fair, Dwibs, even this universe actually ships Batman with Wonder Woman by the time of Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's talk about this movie, actually, so...
in a sense that the Batman in the early years was a bit of a goof.
Now I got another LA Noire chase. You know, the one where you're chasing the green van, but the guy's throwing boxes at you.
Well, crap, this is a lot harder than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Harvey Bullock was actually more of a beat cop at the time.
Since those are the early years, this means that the Gotham Police Corp was corrupted as fuck.
Well, even that incompetent by the looks of it, he really didn't notice that. So it had such a delayed reaction.
Dweebs, I think the donut and the coffee should have been your guess.
Freeze! Pull over the side of the road!
Well, shit.
Ow.
But we were just 2 days before retirement.
Fuck the police. Well,
at least they didn't die.
Could have gone better.
It would have been a time paradox if... It would have been.
Next shot, the car explodes.
It would have been a time paradox if Bullock died.
I'm all lit, seriously, Bruce. I know you had to invent all your gadgets yet, but I'm all lit.
He was not exactly thinking quite straight yet. Well, he still isn't thinking straight, but let's just say he was still more focused on revenge than the big picture.
Yeah.
Again,
It's one of those things where, like, okay, people a lot of time go back to the original. Well, no, not the original. Like, it was only like Action Comic
Ooh.
16, I think, that
Ah,
had the
okay.
origin story.
Yeah.
He literally says in the original Bob Kane story, Dwebs, I will take my revenge on all criminals and stuff like that. So obviously, for modern interpretations, abandon that particular line because it paints a whole different picture of Batman as just a psychopathic.
Mysterious vigilante repels bandits.
see, what I like about that is like, well, modern iterations have, they've always remembered that, yes, Batman started off as Bruce's case for revenge, but grew into something that fought for justice.
Strike fear into them, sir. Might I suggest dressing up as a lion?
Maybe, but it sounds a little too bright-colored.
Well, maybe a darker animal, like a black leopard.
Yeah, another thing, I don't particularly find this. I don't find their chemistry to be all that believable. Honestly, they're just they try to do this thing like they're doing right now of them having this witty banter between the two and stuff, but it's not enough.
Cosplay.
Okay, I guess to its credit, it doesn't seem to be like shipping them off right the gate, so I guess maybe they're just friends so far. Anyway, this
Maybe
girl
friends with
is
Batman.
Andrea.
Isn't it magical, Dweebs?
Yeah, you see what I mean?
Yeah, even the music spiegel.
Okay.
Not just that, Pedro. Adding to what you said before, but also the fact that Alfred, no, please.
And don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Good old Alfred.
And don't get me wrong. It is
Never mind. They're kissing.
And don't get me wrong. There is a well-known aspect that Alfred, being of course the father that Bruce never had, he really wants Bruce to live a proper normal life so he can be happy. But the problem is that it should remain like that. It should remain a hope, not a goal that actually a writer should.
Not just that, Pedro. What adding to what you just said about this whole argument, there's also the fact that when a potential romance in Bruce's life is introduced, one of the first things that you immediately think is, oh, okay, how is this gonna get fucked up anyway?
Basically.
See, here's the thing with Batman. It's like, okay, yeah, usually whenever, him trying to get a romance is one thing that you're already skeptical of, unless, again, it's someone like Catwoman or Wonder Woman. And I'll admit, while Catwoman could work, I never really care for her as a love interest because I feel that she kind of compromises and makes her a special case, since she's still just as much a criminal, if not more in some cases.
Yeah.
But, okay, the thing is, like, when you're trying to set him up with a non-powered being who just wants a normal life, like, like he just wants a normal life, that's just about never going to work. There always has to be some sense of compromise.
Anyway, big black fat guy, I don't know his name.
There is
like
the
one
thing,
of the-
Dweebs. Paying your respect to your mafia boss may not have been a good idea.
Yeah.
You were the one who stepped on my cat last week. Prepare to die. Klutz.
He looks like one of those recurring villains from Batman the Animated Series.
ask you a question.
You mean Falcone?
Oh, yeah, it looks like him, but I don't see him credited anywhere.
Jova, I don't see a Yorkshire guy putting on an American accent.
Wow,
That's because it's a different media, Dweebs. A character is a character before being an actor.
That said, though, he has way less hair than Falcone, so maybe he's his ancestor. Oh, snap. God, I never would have imagined that a ghost would come to haunt me in a graveyard.
You were the one who stole my money.
What a horrible night to have a curse.
Yeah.
Hey, Jova, I'm imagining now what these people did to piss off the Phantasm. Like that guy, maybe he stole his money when he was alive or something.
No, dude. This is Phantasm, not Sherman.
Or no, Pedro, I got it. He was his sidekick.
Of course.
But he's repenting for his crimes. Oh no, wait, that's Jacob Marley.
Speaking of repenting.
And speaking of Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
You will be buried here, like my hopes and dreams.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah,
Uh
that's.
oh.
Oh boy.
Well, that was
Uh-oh.
dickish. Yeah, I gave him a
And
little
yeah, he
sense of
dies.
hope.
Well,
I mean, you
yeah.
don't see the body, but that's still morbid as fuck. Yeah.
So who's gonna be the boss now?
This is not a Klingon society, Dweebs.
Well, we have to have a new boss. I mean,
Priorities.
how else are they gonna run? Are they gonna govern as if we're gonna be the boss? That's gonna be chaotic.
Mhm.
He's not. He's
Second
not
mob
British.
boss slain. Has bats gone bats?
Yeah, sure. It's a black cloaked figure, so of course it's Batman.
It's just like Shadow with Sonic in Sonic Adventure
And
2, I
he's
guess.
suffering a heart attack.
Actually, no, Dweebs. It's
Asthma?
less oxygen, less recreation. Ah, that close up. Yeah.
But you still have to investigate the
Ah.
possibility.
I forgot,
you know.
Jova. Who voices Jim Gordon in the animated series?
Let me check.
Also, Halitosis Pry in that face, that guy is clearly a taller version of Leisure Suit Larry.
Ha.
I mean, even that's that kind of face.
Bob Hastings.
Okay.
So what are they doing? Are they trying to trap the Batman? But Batman's too smart for that shit.
We'll see.
Either that or I think he might have just overheard their plan. Yeah, dear diary, I'm actually doing some goddamn detective work around here.
Well, considering he has some circumstances where he can get short-term memory loss because of beatings and whatnot, it makes sense that he keeps a lot of this stuff recorded.
No, don't look at your grave. You'll be crying for hours.
And also, considering one of the stories that happened in the comics, which is incredibly fucked up, I forgot what it's called, but one of them is called Batman Rip. It's also an entire saga that Grant Morrison made.
Oh yeah, the one where we thought Batman was dead.
She
Not
loves
just that,
me. She loves me not.
the one where the villain is supposedly Thomas Wayne. Anyway, but that's the point is that series is completely fucked up and fucks up with your mind.
We'll get
and
to
the one of Batman
commentating on
himself.
that series later.
Okay, how did
Another time.
there is no way she saw him looking at the grave.
Oh, no. She didn't see him looking at the grave, but she did notice him overwatching her.
Creepy.
Mary Jane?
Oh,
Oh,
wait,
good.
let me guess. She's this guy's fiancée.
I don't know.
No. I think they're only friends, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've seen this movie, but I don't think they were.
Also, one thing that's
Batman
really,
is a peeper.
one thing that's odd about this this series continuity, it's really hard to get a grasp on what time frame it takes in. The show was made in the 90s, and yet half of them are dressed, and yet almost all the characters are dressed up like they're from like the mid 50s.
That's because it's kind of part of the Batman imagery in the sense that it wouldn't really fit the dark atmosphere to have the characters dressed in
that close up, man.
Hoodies.
So apparently that black-haired guy who's calling for Batman's head is City Councilman Arthur Reeves. Oh, he's a corrupt city official.
Wow, someone, an official in Gotham being corrupt.
And also, oh my god, we're actually seeing Gotham during the day.
Ah.
Gotham actually has a daytime.
I know, it's crazy, right? All right, Wonder Town.
World of the future.
Essentially, with one of the Gotham mythos we are in general in the DC universe is that Gotham is built on a different kind of city called Wonder City, which was supposed to be kind of like Tomorrowland in a sense of this future city idealized to rise when the world would eventually go to shit, when people thought the Cold War would have destroyed the world. And one of its marbles were actually robotic guardian, and they usually play big parts in the story that involves the Wonder City. But in this, it's just a cameo, I get it.
And this is where he got the idea for some of that
the
high-tech
Batmobile.
gadgetry.
And that design you see must have inspired him for the design for the Batmobile.
That's what I just said, but yeah. Generic brand. Sure. You know, one thing that was always kind of clumsy was them establishing when Gotham got the upspurt in technology. Because, you know, at first they were kind of a bit old-fashioned looking. Then when Superman the Animated Series became a thing, then they had an upgrade in tech and everything.
It's the nightmare associated with superhero stories in general. The fact that they need to remain timeless, but at the same time they need to progress with what's happening in the real world anyway.
Which is a shame, because Batman the Animated Series is literally the only thing that sticks out in regards to the DC animated universe.
It's Knuckles.
You know, I'm actually kind of happy that that my first name kind of shares a somewhat of a similarity with his last name.
So, this is her father, Carl Beaumont.
Gotta love how the movie is literally throwing you so many different new characters and having you to guess which one of them is actually the Phantasm.
It's the girl.
Or is it her father?
Or is it that slimy guy who wants to put Batman away?
Or maybe it's Bruce Wayne's twin brother.
That's Owlman.
Dweebs, it's comic book superheroes. There is at least a story or a continuity where this actually happened. It's kind of like Rule 34 when you think about it.
Okay, his twin sister.
Yeah, there's the thing. Andreas brother is in ties with the mafia.
Because of course.
Hey, smoking inside is prohibited by the law.
You can tell he's evil because he smokes like that.
And he has those mustaches and a fedora. Who can be that figure?
That face looks a bit familiar.
It's clearly the Penguin. Look at the nose.
I know, right?
The Penguin.
He just let himself go later on.
Alright.
Really? Of all the people you had to terrorize, it's a street, guy.
Gotham really went downhill when the Waynes died.
No, Bruce, you're just a man.
Jesus.
Well, the lock on that box is shit.
Yeah.
Well, he kind of had to close it
Yeah,
hastily.
Stay
Jesus.
away, or I'll hit you with my stake.
Well, there he had it coming.
Yeah.
He's a bad guy. Yeah, I can understand. I mean, score aside, this doesn't really look like it belongs in a cinema.
Well, yeah, the quality production is higher than the average, the rest of the TV show, but yeah, it still doesn't look too much for a theatrical release.
Again, the problem is that they decided at the last minute to make it come to the big screen.
It's like Doug's quote-unquote first movie.
Personally, I don't mind it much. I think the animation looks fine, honestly. Yeah, it doesn't look as good as a proper like Disney or Warner Bros. Movie that would come out at the time. But honestly, considering where it originates from, I'm willing to give it a pass on it.
That and everything else compensates for it well enough, in my opinion.
Yeah,
so far.
sadly, he failed.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
There is one interesting thing. She's a love interest who's understanding of when he wants to go out. Now, that's actually another interesting angle, is when they go for the love romance ship who's understanding of when he needs to go out to do his stuff. Now, ironically, that was actually also a plot point for an episode. The twist was that love interest was specifically engineered by Poison Ivy to fit exactly what he would love for in a relationship.
Master Bruce, if you keep throwing paper into the fire, we might as well replace the log with paper.
It's just not coming to me, Alfred. I can't think of the right thing to strike fear into the hearts of criminals while also having a practical outfit.
Well, dress up as the world's scariest police officer then.
And then a bat comes in. That's it. A bat. It's an omen. I'll become
Really?
a bat.
You don't know yet.
That's why I really love Nolan's idea of Bruce being afraid of bats, because literally in projecting his own fear into the criminals he fights. That's such a clever way to implement the bat, if you ask me.
Although I'm surprised every time he looks in the mirror, he doesn't freak himself out.
It's
He
okay,
looks in the mirror and
Lewis.
think, "Ah!"
It's okay, Lewis. As long as it's not a real bat, it's
Yeah. Well, but yeah. Why didn't any of the other villains in that trilogy use bats against him?
I'm by no means a psychologist, but I'm pretty sure your brain can detect where it's a real thing or not, and the fear will work accordingly. That's how it works.
It
I
all
guess.
depends on your psychological usual resonance and your instincts.
You reminded me of those parodies, Pedro, where there was one in particular where Spider-Man was out shopping and then he saw Uncle Ben's rice and he went down to his knees in sadness.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not having a good day.
Also, yeah, in case you didn't remember, because even the TV show hammered this, Bruce grief against the death of his parents is huge here.
Mm-hmm.
Insert mean face, and we'll continue on.
But Dweebs, this is not a short where Batman eats an hot dog.
Batman loves hot dogs.
So, it's, oh my god, another day when there's daylight out in
Sort of.
Gotham.
Bit too
Get
much.
in,
Quite a lot of daylight. Feels weird.
Well, it could have been worse. It could be Blood Heaven.
You know, I'm looking forward to when I finish the Getaway. I'm looking forward to showing you guys, because that game too has a little plot point of the elderly guy, but he's still a gangster.
So, this is
You
Valestron,
mean...
now aged.
No, not with oxygen or anything. He's just a really old dude.
No, but I mean Dweebs in a sense of old generation when picks the new one are complete shit.
Something like that.
Anyway.
This gives you an idea.
Funny enough, guess who Valestra's played by?
Christopher Lloyd, he sounds a bit like him.
Nope, Abe Vigoda.
Well, to be fair, still a better.
Was
product
this how
from
many
the
years was
Godfather
this?
twist.
How many years was this, or after Good Burger?
It was around the same
Wait.
time.
What are you gonna say? Still better than what?
It was still better than Good Burger, the other shitty the movie.
It's Abe
he's
Vigoda
prominently
doing
known.
what he does best, playing the old crime boss.
Why would you make a movie based on one line?
Don't you remember, Dwibs? Tom, can you get me off the?
Oh, you're funny enough. You know who directed that movie? Same guy who made 1,000 words.
Oh boy, Bruce and Alfred are having one of their spots again.
I think you're misunderstanding me. This I was referencing The Godfather.
No, I thought you were on about Good Burger.
Whatever.
Whatever, but whatever. Good Burger's shit. Moving on.
Yeah, I'd say Good Burger is fine. It's not horrendous or anything.
It's a product of its time, I guess.
I'll
Yeah.
disagree. I think it's.
Well, I
god-awful.
still want to have it avoid it like the plague anyway. But
So
Anyway.
yeah.
Oh, would
So
you
many
look at
mafia
that? The
features.
crime bosses that have been getting killed hung out
one by
together.
one. And Andreas Faber is one of them, apparently.
Mm-mm.
Also, can you just tell that Bruce has a terrible fashion design for clothes in this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a pink sweater.
I mean, you're a billionaire. Have something a bit better, I guess.
I guess he doesn't like to flaunt it. Proposal.
Oh,
So Batman had a chance at happiness before he became Batman.
of course.
This is apparently one of the things people do laud about this movie, is that it does go into depths of Batman's choices and how some things
trying to do something a bit different than
yeah.
usual story. Foreshadowing.
Ugh.
Bats! Not why do they have to be bats?
Also,
It's an
so
omen.
many bats.
Oh, God, I hope I never have to see another bat in my life.
Yeah, boy.
I think they're his special clients, honey.
Yeah, they're they are. They've got quite the flash to them.
Mhm.
Also, yeah, that guy's.
Hmm.
He's Pinocchio's
Again,
grand.
he could. I mean,
Of
because he
course.
knows he could be the Penguin.
It's
Or maybe he's
that
the Riddler.
He's from that shitty live action Pinocchio movie from Roberto. What's his last name?
Collodi.
No, not Carlo Collodi.
Oh, Benigni.
Oh, boy, here
That's
we
it.
go.
That's it. But that movie is so terrible. You'd think an Italian would understand one of the most iconic.
It's a can of worms for another day, Pedro. Trust me.
Oh, really?
I need to talk a lot about that, so it's not the
Oh,
time or the place.
what's happening here?
Thank you, Tay. You're just
Anyway. Oh, goody. Anyway, so what's happening?
They split up, I guess.
Something
Yeah.
happened and she rejected him. Which is weird because they were hitting it off rather nicely. And of course, this also sort of contributed to him continuing on his path to be Batman.
So,
This was the first time he actually tried the costume.
Yeah. Sir, are we going to be watching the entire movie in flashback?
As much as needs to be told, Alfred. I need just the right amount of information.
There we go,
Okay,
donning the mask for the first time.
I know, but sir, at least Batman Begins had a longer runtime, so they could do that kind of stuff more. This film, we're only halfway through this one.
Conveniently, this ties in, though. And now audience get to see my origins of a section here.
Hmm.
Well, then how do we explain those white eyes of yours?
Where did he hit it?
Go ham.
In the
were
cave.
there.
It's a point and click game. He has like an invisible pocket.
Considering it's
guys,
Batman,
guys,
yeah.
It says Gotham there, but bits have been removed, so it looks like it says Go Ham.
Oh,
Okay.
So
Wonder
in case you
Town.
don't, in case you don't follow the timeline too much, at least.
What's left of it?
Well, don't worry, Liz. But let me say, as you can see, this is Wonder City, but these are the ruins. As you can remember, Batman and Bruce and Andrea went here when it was still intact and everything. So essentially, Batman remembered the events that happened at the beginning, and now years later, this Phantasm came and is killing all these people that are tied to that event in the past. Oh well. Hello, Joker.
Hello.
Obviously reprised by Mark Hamill.
I love
And
it.
Joker
That's-
knows this guy.
Funny.
Well, that's actually one of the things that I really appreciate about the Arkham games, considering how the Arkham games were allowed to be a lot darker than this cartoon was, because we know kids
Yeah.
cartoon and everything. I finally got to see the Mark Hamill's Joker to realize its full potential.
Yes.
Because don't get me wrong, I love the Joker in the animated series. It's just that he's Joker light.
Yeah.
For the sake of keeping this kids appropriate.
To be
Trust
fair,
me, there is a very well, at least in Arkham Knight, there is some black comedy that's really fun, said by Mark Hamill. Anyway,
to his credit,
It also helps that Mark Hamill Was lucky enough to be one of the few Star Wars actors that wasn't typecast.
Ironic.
Anyway, the point is that one of these mafia boss with the respiration problems actually wants to hire the Joker to protect him.
I love that line. Can't be too careful with all those weirdos around.
Yeah.
You know when Joker's saying that, something's up.
Yeah, that was also one of the things that makes me a bit of ashamed of Under the Red Hood, because that's usually one of my favorite Batman stories ever. But for that movie, first they made the Joker look like with dreadlocks. Never got that, and they made him voiced by John DiMaggio.
Well, considering how we ended up enjoying that in our previous commentary of it, John DiMaggio was, I definitely would say, a great
I
choice.
like
John
him as a
DiMaggio,
voice.
their second choice.
I like, not really, is that guy who's also voicing the Joker in the Injustice games and Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. Anyway.
I actually really liked.
So Valstro here has come to apparently hire the Joker for something.
That's also because, much like the others, Salvatore believes it's Batman who's hunting him, so naturally thinks his natural nemesis would be enough.
I still can't believe John DiMaggio was also voiced
Uh-oh.
Karuka.
Yeah.
But Joker also doesn't really have that, well, a history with this guy.
Yeah, since he's a prequel and everything, he doesn't have Harley Quinn at the moment.
Nope.
Oh. Yeah. Jesus.
I
That's your
will-
nightmares for tonight.
Okay.
Nope.
I will
No,
admit,
please.
despite them not going like the full hog with what they do in the Arkham games, Joker can get pretty dark still in the animated series. I mean, he still can kill people on screen, heck, has impaled some people on screen, shocked them to death on screen, tortured. I mean, I guess the only thing that really he did in the Arkham games that he didn't do before was...
It's definitely not the same version of a 60s show.
Yeah, got that right.
And she's not phased by a tall, muscular guy dressed as a bat being in her room.
To be fair, if you live in Gotham City, you have to at least know Batman's a thing.
Not just that, but not just Batman. This is a city that has the Joker. It has the Penguin. It has the Riddler. It has
Catwoman?
Mr. Freeze. I
Poison
mean, seriously?
Ivy.
Gotham City alone has enough creeps and, costume people, to be...
Coming out and being a Gotham citizen, Dwebs, whenever you go out into the street, it's common, business as usual, to find guys in
Someone with
suits.
a mask.
Let me put it like this, Dwibs. At this point, it's actually kind of a relief for the person creeping up on you to be Batman as opposed to his rogues gallery.
That's how low standards have gotten in Gotham.
So she's not.
Come back.
So she's not exactly feeling too keen about bringing up past history.
Yep.
And yes, she's not exactly taking it all that well.
Which leads us to wonder, why did she reject Bruce? We still don't know why.
Because he's an inadvertent magnet for death.
Thankfully, the animated series doesn't try to do that. Except for specific episodes.
Well, like everyone who Bruce is close to dies or something.
I never really gravitate towards that trope in superhero
It's
stuff.
the same that happens also with Spider-Man.
I know.
It reminds me. It actually reminds me, Jova. There was this British football soap opera I used to watch called Dream Team. Called Dream Team, and basically everyone who goes to that football club either dies or has something really bad happen to them.
So Joker just robbed the Phantasm here of a kill. Oh, and
that
rigged
guy of
it.
his life.
Wait for it. He also rigged his body to explode. Lovely.
That's actually great, because to me the Joker's humor is that it's best when it's really dark
black
humor.
comedy, yeah.
Really dark humor. Like one of my favorite Joker moments ever, for example, is in The Dark Knight, where he's about to drop. Not just the pencil tip. That's the obvious example. I'm talking one in particular that nobody ever brings it up is that moment where he's about to drop Rachel,
Oh, I
and
love that
Batman's like,
one.
let her go, and he's like,
Poor
very
choice.
poor choice of words.
Poor
And
choice
then
of
he drops
words.
her.
I love that.
That's brilliant. That's
Do
like
we know if that
perfect
was
Joker humor.
improvised?
We don't know,
We
but
know that the
it
hospital
really
blowing
is.
up scenes was improvised.
Wonder if
Regardless-
anyone's asked Nolan about that.
Regardless of whether it was improvised, it's a great example of how that movie got the Joker so well.
Mm-hmm.
Found you, faker.
You know, that's one thing about the Joker. I've rarely ever seen him done terribly. I mean, even in the comics,
Suicide
surprisingly.
Frank Miller.
Suicide Squad.
I said rarely. I said rarely. I mean, and that's
But-
proportionate talking.
But anyway, here's the problem. Apparently, the SWAT teams have found Batman.
Wrong
And
place,
not only-
wrong time.
Yeah, and not
Yeah.
only they found him, they also, as you can see, rigged the Batwing so he cannot
Hey.
use it to escape.
Hey, police officers, have you ever heard of coincidence?
Well, to be fair, I think the fact that Batman has been showing up a lot here in a pattern is kind of cause for
Ow.
alarm.
His logo vanished.
And to be fair, there have been stories where Batman has kind of gone a bit psycho crazy.
Yeah. Not just that, but
Jesus.
Crap. What? How did that police car get on the roof?
I don't know.
Driveway.
No, Trevor. It went up a 90-degree angle and drove up there.
So, Dweebs, you're the GTA expert. What type of stars rating is this level of threat?
5.
Of course.
Well, 5 in GTA 5, because I think from GTA 4 onwards it reduced 6 stars to 5.
although
Mhm.
although as we were talking about, voices of the Joker and stuff, like one in particular that I think was really good, despite the actual movie that it was in not being the best, was Michael Emerson as the Joker in the Dark Knight Returns animated adaptation. Yeah, the
Oh,
adaptation itself
yeah,
was
that.
not the best, but Michael Emerson, who's Finch in Person of Interest, he did a surprisingly really good take on the Joker. Like it's such a complete.
So-
To give you an idea,
Wait,
Jova.
Wait, it's not something you picture him doing.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, Jova.
Yeah.
We're talking about Michael Emerson. For those who don't know, he's the actor who's mostly known for playing Ben Linus in Lost and Finch in Person of Interest. So to see him play the Joker, yeah, that was kind of it. But he did a really good job.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I kind of wish he could have gotten a choice to a chance to be in a better work than
Yeah.
that one.
And again, that's also a movie where we had RoboCop as Batman.
Which,
So yeah, surprisingly enough, it's not a super criminal that is actually giving Batman a bad day of his work, but actually the police.
note to log. Must figure out why the cops only seem to do an efficient job when they're chasing me than after the bad guys.
Yeah.
Even though it's pitch black.
They seem to be getting a dap for going after Batman. Then again, I guess this is before we get later into the series where they actually learn.
How convenient. Jesus, that's wet.
I must say, I'm sorry, not Bruce.
Master Bruce.
I must say, Master Bruce, you've got a real head for this sort of thing.
Very funny, Alfred.
I'm only trying to lighten things up, sir.
But it's okay, guys. It's just remember, Jeremy. Sorry.
Yeah.
So basically, they got the biggest convention of Pinocchios.
Jesus, she just came in the room. Really?
She's seen too much.
Oh boy, he's low on his dues.
Dude.
I order you to suck. Oh no, wait, sorry, this is a kids show.
I command you
order
to
you.
wank.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's not the smoke blow of death.
Kill him. Yeah, I've always imagined. What if all movies just had just like the simple solution of just shooting the guy? Can you imagine how much shorter they'd be?
There's an entire trope of that as well, dweebs, and sub tropes.
Yeah, why don't you just shoot him? Yeah.
In this
Not just that. Some Batman stories actually involve him actually kind of invoking this trope to save his life.
Yeah.
Because they think some people, like for example the Joker, wants them specifically to kill him, so it will count on them to actually save him from a situation just for that purpose. So that's actually the reason why Andrea had to reject Bruce, because otherwise her father would have been in deep trouble.
Yep.
Why, Lisa? Why you do this to me? No, buddy. When you start getting with affairs with the mafia, you never come back.
And if it's mafia in Gotham City or Bloodhaven,
Well, Jova, in Bloodhaven's case, you actually came out of bed as a pile of chemical goo, but that's another topic for another day.
yeah.
Spoilers.
Poor Clayface. Oh well, it's not spoilers.
Actually, it was chemo, but yeah.
Chucky's ball.
So it seems that her father may very well be the Phantasm, who has his ways.
Yeah, and he has targeted all those previous mafia bosses.
And now she's come back in town to try and track him down.
Oh, this being whimsical again.
Always in the wrong moments, Alfred. Come on.
One of the big consequences of the short running time that the movie never really is able to properly develop their relationship. Because
the romance is by no means.
Fast.
I mean, okay, the romance is by no means bad or anything. I mean, it seems legit. The problem is it seems like a cake that
I don't feel anything.
Yeah, it's basically you got the basics of the cake, but there's no extra flavoring to make it
sugarless. It's good for people with diabetes, I guess.
It's serviceable, but that's just the problem. It's only serviceable, and you
It
feel
should
like
have been like a 2 hours movie.
Yeah.
you feel.
Hey guys, I think they're feeling horny at the moment.
What a
Regardless
story.
I think it would have been better if they had just dropped this particular subplot and just put on something more Batman-esque.
I honestly just think they should have given it a longer running time because, okay, the idea of, Batman questioning whether or not his love life may or may not have been part of the cause of him being Batman and done in a way that actually makes sense. I like that, and I'm guessing that's part of why this movie gets a lot of the praise it does, aside from all the other awesome stuff.
Hey, Alfred, where's the Joker been?
Why, Master Bruce, I do believe he's been underground lately.
Not to mention, Master Bruce, this movie's called Mask of the Phantasm. Let's try to keep our focus on the primary villain.
Besides, there are too many other medias where the Joker literally hijacks the plot.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of, Alfred. The Joker's just gonna
But
come
don't you
away
see-
and
Oh
kill
boy.
everyone.
Yeah, I
see-
just connected the dots.
Yeah, turns out old Jack Napier is the Joker.
Which is kinda clashes with the Killing Joke backstory, but then again, even the animated version of the Killing Joke is not considered canon from what I get it.
Well, the Killing Joke isn't even canon to this universe, Dio. So.
Yeah, that was
Well,
saying.
I've heard that's like far from the biggest issue of that film.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, remember, Ted, this was still back when we were basing things on the 89 movie.
Now,
True.
And this was back when Bruce Timm actually had his mind.
So part of the reason Joker kind of hates his old boss is because on a run from his boss, he kind of ran into Batman and got thrown into a chemical vat. Oh, and he had history with this councilman as well.
Because of course.
The Joker has a history of everybody. I reckon he has a history of his cleaner.
Yeah.
That's the scary thing, Dweebs. Potentially, he's the one that knows the most about Gotham, but it looks to you like some guy who's just out of place.
To describe the Joker, he's the kind of guy who can very well make friends with you because he's so charismatic, and he will then... Well, he'll wait. He'll make you think that he's forgotten about you, just to show up on your doorstep.
Punchline better. Yeah.
Yep. There's actually an episode dedicated to that, The Joker's Favor. So now even Joker's getting in on this mystery. And he suspects that the councilman might be the Phantasm. That is one thing I do like about Joker when he's done properly. He's kind of an anti-Batman in a lot of regards.
That's kind of what he's supposed to be.
Yeah, also all the shows, even just the show that every single media paints him and as someone that people underestimate because he's just a buffoon, but he's actually surprisingly smart and calculator if he wants to.
Like, one thing I love is, oh my god, that girl looked like Harley Quinn. Nice cameo. Or I guess that was Harleen Quinzel before her little meetups with Mr. J. Dang, that was risque.
I'd like to play a little game with you called Toss You Around Randomly.
Those are some charming faces.
It's raping time?
Actually, I think he was injecting him with his toxin.
I know, but...
Oh... And
now he's in Gotham Sanatorium.
Can you, much like what Doug said the first time he mentioned, can you believe that this guy was Luke Skywalker?
I know, right?
Yeah.
There used to be a time when people thought Mark Hamill would get typecast as the hero. And now he's playing guys like Joker, the Fire Lord.
That's just the thing. Ever since this role, he's been more typecast as villains rather than heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, at least he turned out better than Jack Ryder did, am I right?
The Gotham journalist, he appeared also in the show. They just say that he has a personality disorder.
Thanks to the Joker. At least in this universe. I don't know if that's also the case in the comics.
It is. It becomes the creep.
Well, I know that, but I'm forgetting if it's because of the Joker.
Surprisingly enough, it doesn't happen in the Arkham games. You think it would.
So the sight of Batman undoes
triggers the toxin. You don't know yet.
I'm sorry, that is the wrong answer. You lose...
everything. Of course you did.
Breathe, man.
How charming of you.
You think this is funny?
No! That's what hurts the most about it!
Ugh. Can I have... Hey, be thankful I don't shoot people.
Anymore. But don't you see, Dwebs? Remember Jared Leto as the greatest, one of the greatest, the one who's played by a douchebag actor?
Where'd you get that from?
Doug Walker's
review of Suicide Squad.
Oh,
basically, when the Joker quote unquote dies, yeah.
Well, if he comes back to life as a different actor in that universe, I wouldn't mind.
I agree. Anyway,
it's one of the. Sorry.
All that controversy for nothing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This case
Sure,
is the bad
get the
kind
phone.
of nothing.
Hello, this is Batman speaking.
Oh,
how
good.
convenient.
Just the one I was hoping for.
How convenient.
Hey, how'd you get this number?
I have plenty of connections. Let's just say I know this chemical plant owner, who knows this judge, who happens to know
Oh,
the
fuck.
telephone operator.
We're doing this shit. Oh.
You know, actually, when you think about it, Joker is the kind of guy who would do something
Oof.
specifically complex just to mess with his foes' minds.
All for
Hey,
the
Bats-
sake of a punchline, Jova.
Oh,
Yeah.
Pat, you know you just probably blew that thing up amongst other apartment buildings. What a klutz.
I still...
Also, yeah, surprising, sort of a twist. Joker actually is using the Wonder Towns gadget, Wonder Cities gadget to his advantage.
I
We've
know.
got an entire scrapyard there, pretty much.
It's really...
Yeah, it's surprising because in the Arkham games, it's actually the Riddler who ends up using those.
Uh-oh.
Oh, shit.
Hey, my name's Pinocchio.
God damn it, Reeves.
That's my nickname.
I'm sure she won't mind the mess I left.
Yeah, the director said, need an apple, it will make
Come
you
on,
look like an asshole.
come on, Dweb, stop typecasting. I mean, are you just going to just point everybody with a big nose to Pinocchio? Come on.
So, it turns out something bad happened in Andrea, and it had to do with Jack Napier.
Interesting.
He just pat the robot's ass.
Don't put your hands on underneath my knife, sir. It is
There we
I, Kane. I ain't no lady, Slice.
Oh, what a twist! Andre is the ghost.
Yeah, as actually, funny enough, it's been a while since I
Yeah,
saw this movie.
the-
I said that as a joke.
This feels as the weakest part of the movie to me because, I mean, the
How
fact,
the
yeah,
hell
I
is she able to
mean,
walk around in that thing?
I was doing
There
it
we go.
before it was cool.
Cool.
Since I literally started doing it the same time
And
Bats
also,
did.
also, when she's unmasked, she's kind of pathetic.
Uh-oh.
yeah.
You were saying? Well, even the Joker would have trouble smiling after a hit like that.
It's like that bit in that Ted Turner Captain Planet video. Yeah, and my foot in your balls, Captain Planet. Really, Joker? An egg whisk? You have a knife there.
Yeah, taste Bologna.
Joker, are you deliberately picking the worst weapons?
It's like Dead Rising, you use everything as a
No, I'm
weapon.
deliberately picking the funnier ones.
But they don't do anything.
But they make me laugh.
Why are you going to use Dex? You're going to use a pillow to kill me?
But
Wait,
yeah,
actually,
this kind of twist is just not my cup of things
Yes,
because
it's not-
it's not for the female thing. I would have been fine if it was male, female, whatever.
I know,
It's just the fact that you know, when you introduce a new character and you also introduce a new superhero villain, it's kind of bound then to have it. Sure, the movie throws some red herrings at you, but it becomes pretty obvious.
I
Yeah,
think
to be
what's
honest, I don't really buy her as being able to hurt a bee, let alone kill a bunch of gang members.
The same problem kind of happened in Batman Arkham Knight, where as soon as the Arkham Knight itself was revealed, everyone actually guessed who he was.
that reminds
Even,
me.
even though Rocksteady came on and said, no, this is totally a new character, we swear.
That reminds me, Tio. Have you seen the Telltale Batman games?
Only season 1.
Were you expecting the plot twist on who, the big bad of Arkham was?
Yes and no. I just say that I don't really feel that much about the Telltale Batman seasons.
Hey, well, you gotta admit, it was a much different way of using that particular character than a lot of media.
Guess.
So anyway, though, I will say that while the mystery leading up to this was nice, and okay, it's cool, she can kick butt and all, I do feel that part of the issue is like, well, the way we kind of narrowed down the suspects. Like, well, okay, Maybe it could have been her father, but that would have to assume that he went missing, and well, the way she was acting, let's be quite honest, it
And
kind of
also,
seemed
it would have to be very old.
too old. And okay, it might have been the councilman, but then you have, of course, the E part where Joker pretty much takes care of him there, so we know it's not gonna be him. Of course, Joker knows it's her because, well, let's be quite honest, he puts the dots together. Revenge-seeking Dark Cloaker. Unfortunately, she's a little too obsessed with vengeance.
Surprised she didn't call herself, the Vengeance. Or
And
something.
it's here where Batman realizes that she was never going to be that positive influence on his life that he thought. Which I'll admit kind of makes it more forgiving for me because, at the very least, they respect the fact that that romance wasn't going to go anywhere without making it a waste of our time. So that's nice. I will agree, though, that, again, a lot of these problems could have been solved if this just had a longer running time.
Anyway, as you can see also from the
Hi, Warner Brothers.
Yeah, essentially at the climax.
Putting yourself in your own movie, eh?
Also, discount New York City.
Which actually reminds me to ask as a question. I forgot.
Wait.
Well, it was one of my favorites.
If I didn't know better, I'd say that Empire State Building was following me.
Yeah, anyway,
That was
we're
actually
gonna
also King Kong reference. Sorry,
Were
yeah,
you?
King Kong. My question was, from what year Warner Bros. Actually started to licensing DC Comics products?
I don't know. Anyway, what were you gonna say? What were you gonna say, Pedro?
Hold on.
Oh,
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but hasn't DC belonged to Warner Bros. For like decades?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. I wanted to know what was the origin point.
I'm not sure. 70s, maybe.
Yeah, probably around there.
So, anyway, you were gonna say something, Pedro?
One of my favorite Freakazoid skits is when he's literally asking, "What is the WB?" I might show you after this.
It's funny because in a later episode, he actually does end up riding a train just like that. It's during Mad Love, I believe.
Well, shit.
Also,
bomb.
this is one of those times where we actually get to see Joker get beaten up to the point where he loses teeth.
And he
And also,
bleeds.
out of context, it looks like they turned Batman into a giant.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's giant Batman.
There we go. Oh, well.
It's always the time limits with you, Joker.
Of course.
You know
You
what
need
would
to
be
give some
funny?
challenge.
You know what would be funny? If there was a film where the bad guy actually lied about how long they had to
Watchmen.
escape before the bomb went off.
Oh, Joker's
What?
done that before.
Also, kind of like, there's the whole shtick about in the climax of Watchmen, the whole I done it 35 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Or like a fake countdown. or
Also,
something.
Joker with a jetpack. That's
You've
not
got
something you
5
see every
minutes
day.
to escape. But it turns out it's like 15 seconds.
That actually reminds me of a joke that Joker makes in The Batman. The series called The Batman. Where basically he has Batman on like this poison that's slowly killing him. So he tells him a joke. Say, have you ever heard about this doctor who had to tell the patient, I've got good news and bad news? And something like that. Basically, one set of news is that someone only has 24 hours left to live. So the patient asks, "What's the worst news?" Well, I've kind of been trying to find you all day.
Oh shit!
Yeah. That
Also, this reminds me of that joke at the end of Sonic Lost World in a couple of minutes, where he's like, oh yeah, luckily I will use my jetpack to escape. Oh no, I accidentally grabbed my fart pack instead.
Oh
Ow.
no, not Pizza Planet, no!
Congratulations, you killed Toy Story 4.
Fine by me.
How dare you, Pedro? You're a monster just because you say that.
Toy Story 3 had a
Uh-oh.
perfectly fun ending that didn't need for another.
Oh, where have you been?
Yeah, I'm not going to give in to you, sweetie. You've done nothing ever since you unmasked. I beat you. Hell, I got more hits on you than you did me.
Yeah, here's the problem. She actually killed people, so
And she
Is it
wants
this-
him because he killed her father and took away the guy who ordered the hit. Also, she knows that it's going to be wired to explode.
dinner's ready, I guess.
Dinner.
Dinner time.
I'd rather not be part of dinner.
I wonder
well,
what's for dinner.
Well then, what about breakfast?
Oh
then?
no,
He breaks his arm.
Oh no, Pedro, it's Curious Village all over again.
Wait, Curious Village also?
The Verlet
The
Ferris
the
wheel.
Ferris wheel.
Oh,
Joe,
right.
that could be.
Okay.
That could be.
Here we
like
go.
a-
And of course, Joker just can't help but laugh at the irony of it all.
And then Joker says, oh, you don't want tea? How about some breakfast? And he breaks his arm or something. Ah.
How did she do that?
Now,
Because she's I don't know.
Now, believe it or not, they actually made a comic that takes place afterwards and bridges the gap between this and the series itself, which explains how the heck Joker survived.
He survives this.
But it's not in the movie, Jova, so...
Well, to be fair, it's the Joker, so we're kind of... Rule number one with the Joker glibs, unless you see him die, always assume he survived. Heck, even if you see him die, you can't be too careful.
Mm-hmm.
Eh.
Return of the Joker, anyone?
Yeah.
How was your day, Master Wayne?
Let's see, I rekindled our relationship, and then found out that the Joker was a part of it. They had only got worse from there.
Oh. Well, I could say to you it's just like any other day, but that probably won't
Well,
help, right?
have you tried relaxing yourself going at the circus? I know there's this a family called the
Graysons.
Maybe
Yes.
someday.
But I'll warn you, Batman. Make sure no one knows you're there, because trouble seems to follow you like a magnet.
Alright.
Also, don't go there looking like Val Kilmer. It won't help.
She left the locket for him.
Hmm. How cute.
What if someone replaced the picture or something as a cruel joke inside the locket?
The Titanic?
Oh no! Everyone, off! Get off!
Well, there was a pendant in our sheep, so...
Well, good to see you turned out okay, Councilman.
Well, I
Oh,
don't
look at
see.
that. She's still alive.
I don't see Leonardo DiCaprio or Bill Paxton anywhere.
Sorry.
I'm never coming back here again. And to be honest, I'm surprised how everyone else hasn't left either.
Don't worry, you'll be back way later into the future.
How much later?
Batman Beyond wise. While mentioned in Justice League Unlimited. So,
Damn prank callers again.
as bad a day as it's been, duty still calls.
Well, I guess that it's okay the fact that the police has cleared all the charges against Batman.
Yep.
And yeah, the movie ends with us stuck inside his cape.
Typical.
How convenient.
Okay,
Alright,
that
then.
was interesting.
That was Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Thoughts, guys?
Well,
God.
I liked it. I mean, okay, I'll admit I was, Oh, I love this song. This is, I believe I Thought You Knew. Which really does play up the theme of the movie, and hey, I'm a sucker for ending things that actually do tie into the main narrative or theme of the movie.
Hi, Mark Hamill.
So, yeah, I have been waiting a long time to see this movie. I've heard a lot of people say about how it's quite possibly the best Batman movie we have there. And I can see why they would say that, although I guess maybe I was a bit overhyped. I mean, don't get me wrong, I had a blast with this movie. I guess I just feel like, well, the short running time does hinder it, notably in a lot of cases.
I think Batman. I think even Batman. I like even Batman 89 over this one.
Yeah, I mean, Batman 89 definitely has everything I'm looking for in a Batman movie. Heck, even has a triumphant ending. Not to say this one doesn't work, it's just, again, I wish there was more to it. It's like, something feels a bit missing. Like, okay, I guess it's the fact that, hey, we're actually seeing how Batman, the masked Phantasm, and the freaking Joker are all connected from past to present. I do feel that this demanded more time to it because, you know, I love what I saw, but I want more of it. And I mean, again, it does what it needs to get done, but it feels like something that's just there to pass the grade as opposed to do the best you possibly can. And maybe
Mostly because of the short run time.
My guess is that had to do with executive meddling.
Yeah, I remember this wasn't supposed to be in the cinemas to begin with.
So how much you want to bet this was originally going to be like a multi-part episode or something before it got turned into a movie? Because this sort of feels like the Superman-Batman crossover, which also got converted into a movie, yet that one feels more complete as a movie because it has a proper beginning, middle, and end. Whereas here, again, the flashbacks tie in well enough. The main issue is that, again, there's not too many of them, so it feels like we're getting just the basics. And, okay, I will say this. For what is the basics, they do a phenomenal job with it. The voice acting, as usual, is top-notch with the voice acting cast. They convey the emotions, tones perfectly. Mark Hamill, as always, is a delight. And for a new character to be introduced to the franchise with the masked Phantasm, yeah, I actually did like her overall. A darker Batman who essentially does kill. Again, I wish we could have seen more of that. And it is kind of a shame we never did kind of get a proper final fight between Batman and the Phantasm. But, yeah. Again, this is definitely a great movie, but I wouldn't say it's the best Batman movie. I mean, heck, I'd even say in some regards Batman Returns did some things better than this movie. Again, because it did more of it. Like, when Batman Returns, for as many problems as that movie had, I got to know the three main leading characters well enough to understand them to a point. Whereas with here, I understand the characters, but again, I need to see more of them, especially considering how, yeah, it's obvious Joker is going to survive. Which, yeah, my final point, like Dwib said, we never do get to see how those two survive in the movie. I mean, yeah, they do it later in a comic, but you'd think they'd at least show, you know, how they survived, especially since Joker's definitely coming back. But yeah, overall, though, the music is phenomenal. So I would say that, yeah, this is definitely a great, solid Batman movie. But it's not the best. In fact, I even harbor saying it's one of the best. Yeah, I'd say it is technically one of the best, but I'd say it's one of the lower tier best, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall, still, I would recommend this. It was a great, fun time. It's just, yeah, if you've heard a lot of hype and praise about this movie, don't go in with the highest of expectations. Not saying that this is bad, but to the amount that this was hyped around me...
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of hype about this movie, like, for example, Marsgall talking about how this is the best Batman movie made, period, and I heavily disagree with that.
See, this is one of those movies that started off being a box office failure and later became a cult classic, so I guess that's something I should have been more wary of, except since it's Batman, it being a cult classic meant it was going to be a huge audience.
My theory is people from back in the day who hated how it bombed the box office try to hype this movie as much as just to make sure people notice it or
Again, not to say that they're wrong, per se, it's just... Yeah, this is one of the most clear cases of you could maybe notice the flaws and at least mention those.
Yeah.
Again, it's a great movie, but it's held back from being the best it could because of the runtime length. That's my final thoughts. Who's next?
Me.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I like this film. Not as much as I did last time I watched it because, you know, of all the problems it has with the romance and the pretty lame reveal of who the Phantasm. But yeah, overall, it's still a pretty good film,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all I gotta say. The score's great too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, the score. Yeah,
definitely
that's
one
one
of my
thing.
favorite Batman
If there's
scores.
one thing, yeah, if there's one aspect about this movie that definitely uh fills all the expectations, it's Shirley Walker's score.
Yeah, like I will
But
admit, even though I had my doubts, the minute I heard the score start, that definitely gave me the inkling of, okay, I'm definitely in for a great time.
hmm I guess I'll go next. Yeah, like the score is great. I'll give it that. And I don't mind the animation being TV tier because, well, considering where it came from, it's okay. I'll
Product
give it a
of its
pass
time at
there.
worst.
And considering how it was even out, considering how the filmmakers weren't even intending this for be released in theaters, it was Warner Brothers who let her shit on them with that. Anyway, I'm gonna give the filmmakers a get out of jail free card on this one.
Let's look at that page of Warner Brothers screwing with the DC films.
Yeah, I'm sure that will never happen ever again. Anyway, okay.
So, thoughts
Yeah,
on
like
this
Jeff
movie?
said, yeah, it's a good movie. It's a good Batman movie, even, and but I still, okay, it's weird, you know, like Batman '89 is a really good movie, not a good Batman movie proper, but a really good movie on its own merits. This movie is kind of on the other kind of the anti-Batman '89 for me, in the sense that it's a good Batman movie, but like judging this movie compared to other proper movies, it really falls short for me because its themes are not properly developed because like Jova said, the running time doesn't allow for the filmmakers to just sit down and properly build things up and develop characters. Like this bitch, like I don't even remember her name. What was her name again?
Andrea Beaumont.
Andrea. Like I don't care for this woman. Like she's just like I immediately forget about her right after I finish watching this movie. Every time I see it, she's just generic girl who's there because and like Dib said, the reveal that she's the mask of she's the Phantasm is kind of like maybe it would have worked if I actually cared about this woman, but like whenever that reveal comes up, I'm always just like whatever. Don't even care.
Oh, she's a phantasm.
I don't even. But it is kind of disappointing. Like we couldn't have a proper cool character to be the Phantasm, or
Especially considering the names and the title.
You know, ironically,
Yeah.
there was another Batman movie called Mystery of the Batwoman, which arguably does kind of the reveals better.
Yeah. Anyway,
But we'll talk about that movie later.
It's a good Batman movie. Like if you like the animated series and you want like some more of it, watch this and you'll have a good time. But it's not. But this is definitely not the holy grail of Batman media that a lot of people have been hyping it up to be. Not at all.
Like, seriously, the Masked Phantasm doesn't even return until Justice League Unlimited, the last series in the DC anime. Well, okay, technically not last chronologically, but the last made in production of the DC animated universe.
Yeah.
It's a good movie, but it misses the mark on a lot of aspects, mostly because of its runtime. I'd really and I'll say this, like even though I'm not exactly the biggest fan of Batman, I like the movie. It's just that I kind of wish it was more about Batman. That's why. But I actually think I'll take Batman '89 over this one because at least Batman '89 has a proper beginning, middle, and end, and develops things much better.
It also has, I'd say, a more proper ending. Not to say that the ending of this movie wasn't proper, but it's kind of like, oh, she vanished, and then I guess she left the locket. Like, Batman doesn't even give a final speech about that.
It's conclusive, but it just stops at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, the movie just doesn't. The movie kind of just stops. It technically resolves things, but at the same time, it doesn't feel conclusive to me. But anyway,
which again goes back to the whole, this feels like it was originally made for TV, because, that's kind of how some endings had to go, because, segueing to the next
also, I kind of wish they would
episode.
have done more with the whole prequel/origin thing that they had going with this movie. I kind of wish they would have done more with it.
Amen to
Because,
that.
he kind of wants to, of course, fight criminals, but then turns out one of the big things that happened was when he was with his girlfriend, and then bats came in, and that's basically it. And like I kind of wish we could have, like, that's one of the things that I really appreciate about Batman Begins, the fact that we finally had a movie that properly established why Batman does the things he does. Don't get me wrong. I understand people who don't want to waste time with origin. I understand that origin stories nowadays people tend to look down on them because they kind of want things to get going. But origin stories are important. We really need them. They're important.
I guess I'm sorry.
For the sake of introducing people and new generations to the characters, origin stories are important.
I guess
I'm not saying they need to be done all the time, but they are important. At the worst, you have to at the very least consider them a necessary evil because you kind of need them to understand to properly get behind these characters.
Yeah, I would hazard a guess that at the time of this movie's releasing, they had made episodes, since Batman the Animated Series actually does have quite a few episodes dedicated to points of Batman's origin. So my guess is that the main reason they wouldn't have focused on that as a whole is because at this point in production they'd made episodes or had ones in the pipeline. That's the only reason I could really see why they didn't focus as much as they
And that would have worked peachy if this was a direct-to-video release.
But the problem is that this was released in theaters.
This was released in theaters as its own movie, and therefore it kind of has to be judged as that.
Yeah, I'm going to be quite honest. I didn't get that marketing move. Like, dude, it's part of the animated series, which even at the time was acclaimed. Why not just be upfront and say, hey, this is a part of the animated series? It's like, ugh. I mean, I get...
Anyway, just to get...
Oh, sorry, go on.
Just to get done, yeah, it's a good movie, but no, I'm sorry, this is not the holy grail of Batman films that people have been hyping it up to be. It just misses a lot of marks. Go ahead, too.
Well, that's not much to add. It's pretty much what you guys say. The pacing and the runtime of this movie don't allow him to, take flight properly.
Yeah.
But I still enjoy it for what it was worth, I guess. One of the problems to me is also the lack of the very strict pool of recurring characters. Outside of Batman, you get Alfred, the Joker, and that's pretty much it. Gordon does nothing in this movie. It's like five scenes in, and that just it. Like, it's gone. Good idea to use Wonder City for the setting and the climax, but they don't too much into it, and it's not reprised, so what can I do? But for the rest, it's enjoyable, serviceable, but could have been much better anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe someday they'll make a remake of this film.
We'll see, Jova. Anyway,
that was Mask of the Phantasm. Tune in for whatever DC animated film we do next.
Probably Mystery of the Batwoman or Sub-Zero.
Maybe. All right. See you guys.
See ya.
See ya.